Track 7 is Stop.
Stop was a song that we were working on during the Chase the Slide sessions on our previous record. So, you know, we always really thought it was a great song. We just were sort of unsure as if whether we got the song to the best we could get it. And so we ended up leaving it off Chase the Slide and kind of putting it on the shelf, and you know, sort of I think in the back of our mind thinking, we'll take another crack at that one. And that was probably the song that we'd done the most versions of, you know, before actually settling on what the album version is. So it was kind of like, each album kind of has one of those songs that you're trying to, it was always really close, but I think finally, when we started working with Mark and he had some ideas and we started bouncing around some different ideas and arrangement stuff, that it totally opened up and like, okay, yeah, this is it.
Can I ask about the strings on the record? Are those real strings, or are they?
Yeah, there's real strings and there's synth kind of strings.
Hard is Hard to Find and Little Thing have like real strings, like a string section, and any other strings you hear other than those are.
Okay, let's talk about Little Thing. How big is the string section?
It's 5 violins and a cello.
You don't get that much in a modern record anymore.
Yeah, you know, I think it really does help with the dynamics in a way that you can only get by doing it for real. Mm-hmm. Sometimes just putting on more guitars is just not the same. It's sort of a lazy way to approach trying to build dynamics in a song. And strings, I think, really.
Well, they sweeten a song.
Yeah. It takes it to, I mean, it's not appropriate for every song.
No.
But it I don't know. When we're working on something, I think we just kind of know that that's.
Who arranged it?
A guy named David Campbell.
Oh, Beck's dad.
Yeah, Beck's dad.
Yeah.
We've worked with him on our last 2 records, and you know, always really happy with what he comes up with. It's definitely something that, it's nice. It's nice because it's nowhere close to anything we would imagine.
Right.
Which is good. Which is, I guess, why you hire somebody besides yourself, you know, to help you.
Unless you've got a degree in music, it's pretty hard to arrange a string section.
Yeah.
Next track is Cut, track 9. Mm-hmm. Is the second half of the record slower than the first? Quieter?
The mean average of quiet, yes.
Yeah.
Probably.
Okay.
Cut started out like, this happens kind of a lot. Like the first kind of draft of a tune, I always try to like, I'm always kind of seeking out like this sort of, you know, when you listen to like Buddy Holly records, like the songs are like 1 minute and 12 seconds, or like, you know, nothing's over 2 minutes, but you don't feel like you're missing anything. It's like this concise, just composition. And I'm always trying to get that, but, so Cut started out like as an attempt at doing that. Like it was really fast, really quick, really short, but as it went through like our band editing process, it just kind of felt like it should be more. It should be you know, the sections should be more. It should have more elaboration, and it kind of
got longer.
Yeah,
and longer.
it just kind of grew into this.
Yeah, it was kind of like, I remember when Jim played it for us, and I was like, oh, that's a really cool part. That should probably happen again. You know? Like, wow, that's a great vocal. Like, maybe that should happen like maybe 2 or 3 times in the song. And so it's like, it was sort of, I can see where, you know, I can see like.
One of these days I'm going to end up with something and it's going to work. But
yeah. I mean, it's weird because I think I could totally understand what Jim's doing because he's trying to maybe step outside of the conventions we normally use as a band. Like, you know, we're a rock band and we do a lot of like the verse 1, you know, pre-chorus, chorus, you know, so it's like sometimes you want to kind of get away from that, but also there's kind of like, those conventions exist for a reason, you know, and not that you want to like map everything out, but when you hear a really cool part of a rock song, once you want to hear it maybe a second time or a third time.
Right.
And you know, I think it works out well that way because, you know, Jim's using a certain mindset to create the vibe, and then it's like, then we come together, and I think that song was maybe like less than 2 minutes. Or
It was like 47 seconds when it started.
yeah,
Now
it was really
That's
short.
like 5 minutes.
and
5
then-
minutes long.
it was really short, and now it's like, it's one of the longer tracks on the record. But it totally works because, that chorus vocal is I think one of the best choruses Jim's sung, like, in all of
Well,
our
thanks,
records.
Zach.
You're welcome. And so when I heard that,
you know what? I agree. It had to be repeated. So
Yeah.
there you go.
It's yeah, like Zach said, it's you're always kind of you're pushing yourself, but sometimes like it's equally challenging to push yourself within a certain constraint of, like I wouldn't say a formula, but like the conventions that exist. What can you do that's challenging, but walking the line between challenging and accessible, like challenging but accessible but not insulting
Right.
to listen to, like
You're not a prog rock band.
definitely not a prog rock band.
Track 10 is Action Needs an Audience, which is short. It's less than 3 minutes.
Yep. Action Needs an Audience is also one of the older tunes, I think, from the new batch. It'd been sitting around kind of a long time, just music, and originally I had like lyrics written for it and was singing it, but just kind of wasn't happy with what I was coming up with. And it had sat around for so long that I just couldn't get back to the place where it felt like I could write. So, but and Tom was always championing that. He's like, dude, we should work on that. We should work on that. And so we just decided, like, well, I guess, I'm not stoked with any of the lyrics I'm writing. Why don't you take a crack at it, Tom? And so he did, and now Tom reemerges. Tom's
Yeah, it was
back.
kind of an easier one to write lyrics for because the melody was already there. So I think it only took like a few days to find something that I was happy with.
Yeah, it turned out awesome too.
The second last track is Invented, and it features a guest vocalist. Well, it's one of many appearances that she has
Right.
on the record. Who is Courtney Marie Andrews?
She's a friend of ours that we met through mutual Phoenix music scene people. There's a couple songs on Invented I knew I wanted a female vocal on.
Because it
And-
kind of surprised me when of course, or a verse would come along, and all of a sudden there's a female vocal, and it's
It
like,
definitely
whoa.
is more featured than we've had female vocals and guest vocalists on every record.
But
So,
this,
but-
this far forward in the mix?
No, I mean never this
Yeah.
like kind of featured.
Right.
well, Invented's almost kind of like, especially like the second verse of Invented is almost like a duet.
Right.
So it's really, we've never really done anything like that.
It's fun. Tom and I have been singing with each other for 16 years now. It's fun to get other voices in there.
And finally, last track is Mixtape.
Yeah. Mixtape is another song that kind of just sort of came together in like the last few days of mixing.
Isn't that always the way?
Sometimes, man. Sometimes, like, I remember on when we were making Futures too. Pain was a song like that too. It just sort of like didn't have lyrics for a long time, and it was kind of like, well, we're wrapping up and getting out of the studio tomorrow. You better finish this. And then it ended up being like one of our bigger singles. Yeah.
Originally Mixtape was just an acoustic track with Jim, and we tried it that way. We recorded it like a version, like, he did have this really cool, just him and an acoustic, really, that was it. And then we tried to like put a band on that, and it didn't work.
Yeah, like the rock version.
Yeah, and then we did like a
We
rock
did like a
version,
Wilco
of it,
version of it,
and that didn't work.
That didn't work at all.
And so we did like all these different kind of like we took the song and gave it like all these different personalities, and none of the personalities worked. And so I think it was kind of like we were starting to hit the wall, and then that was actually one of the times Mark came to Arizona for a few days, and we just decided, okay, like let's open up the session, and there's click track and vocal, and that's the only thing we're going to build on.
Wow.
So we, and then it just, I think from there it kind of evolved into what it ended up being.
Now that the record's out, what are your singles going to be beyond My Best Theory?
I don't know. I'm sure glad that's not my job. I've always felt like anything could be a single. You know, I think, you know, when you're really proud of it all, it's like I would be comfortable showing. I think singles are kind of like your calling card, and I would be comfortable like with any song on this record, saying like, here, this is my band.
I like Higher Devotion.
You like that one?
Yeah.
Maybe that'll be a single. I don't
maybe
know.
It's got because of the cool guitar sounds in it.
Yeah.
All right. So now that we're at the beginning of a touring cycle, I guess we're going to be on the road for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of just thinking about it, it's sort of daunting. You know, our lives are not confirmed, but definitely penciled in for about a year now.
Uh-huh. And how often will you get home to Phoenix?
We're going home tomorrow, actually. It'll be like, it's busier when it starts, when the record just comes out. But, you know, it'll be like several weeks on the road, then maybe a week or two at home, and then back and forth.
Have you planned anything in terms of new media? You know, have you got mailing lists? Have you got? Do you tweet from the road? Do you have?
We do a lot of we do a lot of like Twitter and Facebook from the road. Every night we take a picture of the crowd and we put that up on Twitter. We do a lot of stuff if you just follow us on Twitter.
We're doing the Gowalla thing up here.
Yeah, we have a thing where there's a Gowalla, it's like a location based.
Like Foursquare.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you check in with the Gowalla service, like we have like our tour is like a moving spot.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you check in, then you can get like a free like live track download.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's a cool way of doing things.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good luck. Oh, one last thing. What's everybody listening to these days? Anything interesting? Anything that's really blown you away?
I like the Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros.
A lot of
record.
people like that record.
Yeah, it's a cool record.
That's he comes at things from a completely different angle, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Superchunk has a new record that just
Oh, isn't
came
that a
out.
great record?
Yeah.
It's really good, yeah. I
Oh,
like
I'm
it.
so glad those. Was it 9 years since the last album?
Yeah.
And finally they're back. And that's a terrific record.
Yeah, it's a lot of good times.
I've been listening to David Bazan, a record called Curse Your Branches a lot.
Who's David Bazan?
He was the sort of the main guy in Pedro the Lion,
Okay.
and but he's a great like singer-songwriter guy.
Jimmy.
I'm listening to the newest Sun Kill Moon record, which is a guy named Mark Kozelik, who's in Red House Painters. I don't know
Okay.
that.
Oh man, that's going way back.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's like really, like,
From San Francisco, right?
yeah, I believe so. But it's just like him and like a nylon string classical guitar doing, like, amazing stuff.
The Red House Painters. I think they used to record for 4AD
Yeah,
back in the day.
yeah, that's right.
And it was very atmospheric, sort of dark stuff.
This is not too far from that.
Okay.
It's even more sparse, but it's just, I don't know. It's amazing. I think the record's called Admiral Fell Promises.
All right. Well, thanks for coming, guys. Really appreciate it. We've corrected some Wikipedia entries, I'm sure.
Yeah, Tom is not a Korean War vet.
And good luck with the record, and we'll see you back here to perform properly sometime soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right.
having us,
Thanks,
man.
guys.
It's fun. Take care.
Explore Music wears English Laundry apparel.